All right, guys, welcome to another show. We got one of the stars right here, Mr. Ashton, and special guest, Medina 2020.
Medina 2020. Hi, everybody.
All right. Hey, Mark, what's going on, man?
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Roger. And I guess happened to be in the neighborhood and answered the call and came for an interview and
Awesome.
fire your questions away.
Hey, man. Hey, I got a good question right here, man. How does it feel to run for city council? What's the feeling? I mean, I know it's hard.
It's an undertaking. It's a great feeling to be out there, to want to support your community, and to see the people go by honking the horn, showing them that they actually are hearing you and seeing you, and they appreciate you out there. It's also nerve-wracking to be running for office. It's a lot of work, a lot more than I thought it would be when I first started. I got started not realizing just how intense it can be out there in the campaign trail. You're constantly going out there trying to get the name recognition, trying to go door to door, especially during a time of COVID where you don't really get the ability to meet people face to face because some people just want to stay safe.
Yeah.
And that's fully understandable. But it's a great feeling to get out there and promote. It's a great feeling to see people agree and give you their support, their heartfelt support. And more importantly, it's a great feeling to see that the democratic system, our voting system, works if we all work at it and we all go out there and vote. And it's important for all of us to vote.
No, 100%, man. So, Mark, here's a good question. There's three of you running in your district. Was it District 1?
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys, the incumbent, has been there for probably 4 terms, close to 2 decades.
16 years.
16 years, man. So my personal opinion is we need new blood. But do you want to talk about what difference or what different ideas maybe you might bring?
Well, different ideas is. Well, let's talk about the first thing is differences in the people running.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the perfect question.
The person who's been there has been there for 16 years, Mr. Avalos. So he's been on the city council for 16 years. If you've seen our current state of growth in businesses and overall,
no, he just does that.
if you've seen our overall state of businesses and growth in the community, we've been kind of at a standstill for a majority of that time. Actually, we've been at a standstill for maybe 20 years or more.
Yeah.
Which means that his entire time we've pretty much been there in a standstill. My other competitor, Blanca, she has a good heart. All these people are nice people. Don't get me wrong. All of them are good people. All of them are nice people. Blanca, she has a good heart. She comes from a good ideology, and I wish her well. However, if we're looking at who has more of a background to do this type of job, who has more qualifications, I can tell you what I have. Not so much what they have, but what I have. I have dual degrees. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Technical Management. I have an Associate's of Science in Accounting. I've run multiple businesses before. I've been a creative director for the Face of Cancer for about 3 different projects, and they were successful projects. The last one before the founder had passed away from cancer was one that we shot at 3 Rivers, and Shannon, the person that was our model, the person that we were spotlighting, thank God she's still with us. She's still fighting her cancer. And after that organization finished, we started working, those of us in the photography and the creatives, we started working on a different project to bring in the next person to shoot pictures of. And we're currently in the midst of doing that. The person's already been selected. They're from Visalia. Aside from those things, the academic side, business side, my skill set is I'm a photographer and cinematographer, so I do stuff like commercials, I do stuff like wedding videos, events, photography. On the technical side, I've done computer repair, network setup, network security, some of the heavy stuff.
Wow, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, so when you hear the word nerd, I'm probably the poster child next to it. And so I have a lot of background in that. And on the business side, I've been consulting with a lot of people in the past as they start a business. Most of them have been, friends, family, business associates who wanted to go off and branch into their own. A quick story: a friend of mine who actually just was on KMPH TV this past Friday,
Oh, nice.
their band was actually playing. He started doing a business where he was starting to manage and get bands gigs. And I actually got him his first gig in a location in Fresno, showed him how to make the contract and close the contract. And he's great at closing contracts. And in one day, from idea to getting his first contract, we got him there. And he got to play at one spot in Fresno that's no longer in business. They got to perform at Hooters and get paid right out the gate. Now again, Hooters in Fresno, that's a whole different type of restaurant. It's a restaurant that has a little bit of a tackiness to it. That's really actually their whole entire marketing is tacky.
Yeah.
And the food, well, let's say the wings are great. The rest of the food was that's why they're no longer in business, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But from that restaurant, they went to other restaurants and performed, and they've been all over the place. I actually got to go to see a Chargers game because they got to perform down there.
Oh, wow. That's
so,
pretty cool.
So shout out to 1140 JT. How's it going?
Nice.
So I help a lot of people start businesses and get businesses going. But you'll never hear my name, and the reason why is because I'm not a very, very in-your-face person, which may be a little bit different than the videos you've been seeing.
Yeah.
But the videos you've been seeing is because I have to be in your face for this campaign. I have to be out there and be vocal. And I'm not the type of person that likes to just talk for no reason. I like to be there, and when I show up, I say something that means something. Case in point, when we go to city council meetings, prior to COVID, there was a few council meetings I went into personally because I wanted to say my piece, and I had a reason to be there, and I made sure I said my piece. One was when they were trying to do the apartment building, low-income apartment building right there on Dinuba between McCall and Thompson. They were trying to put like an 80-unit apartment for 300 and some odd people, and there's no adequate parking space, sewer, or anything else, from what I understand. And quite frankly, it was going to bring down property values for the nearby house owners. But the most important part is that they were trying to do it without letting anyone know. And that was the big thing that got me up and fired up.
Yeah. I remember you calling me on that.
Yeah. And then the other one was the neighborhood watch, going out there to get the city to try to listen to us when our neighborhood watch captain kept asking and asking, nothing would get done until we got a new police chief, and we got the mayor, Franco, to go down there and to listen to one of our meetings and to finally decide to do something. And the new police chief went out there and cleaned that area up for us, and we thank him from the bottom of my heart. And that kind of gave me, that actually is what motivated me to run for office. Prior to that, I'd never been one for running for office. I've always thought about it. I think you're in the back of your head. If everyone got the idea, if I was president, I'd do something different.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, but I want to deal with the problems. Because when you get into city politics, you're going to deal with problems. No one will like you. Everything you say is wrong. No matter what you do, there will be someone who will always be disgruntled. But what you're there for. And when I saw that we pushed and nothing would happen until we got this new guy in there, and now we see stuff happening, it's all about, I want to make sure to keep that change going. I want to make sure my neighborhood stays safe. And that's what motivated me to run, because the guy who's been there for 16 years really didn't push at all. And that's kind of where I come from, is I want to keep that change going. I want to take what we did there. I want to move it out to other parts of my district and the rest of town. A good case in point was when I saw Vicky Delgadillo and their Neighborhood Watch program. I got to go to one of their meetings, and I got to see a whole other side of Neighborhood Watch, a more proactive and positive side, celebrating people who are moving in, wishing well people who are moving out, and helping their neighbors. And this is a tenet of one of the things I support the most, which is building community. It's all about building community. I hope I didn't ramble on.
No, it's good. Hey, man, I can listen to Mark for a long time. No, I think it was good, man. I think it's good. You want to talk about any of what you support, what you don't support? Term limits?
Okay, term limits. I support term limits. No one should be there forever. Here's my idea. At the max, a person should be there maybe 3 terms, at max. And at that, I would rather it be 10 years tops. I don't like the idea of 12 years. Mm-hmm. The reason is, to take any project from concept to fruition, our city plans are usually about 10 years or 20 years down the road when we plan stuff out. And so that should be underneath the tenure of one person. So if we got a person in there and they start something and they're good enough to be there, they should be able to see it till its completion. This way we make sure things get done. If it's too short, nothing gets done. If they're there too long and they haven't really done anything, then past that third term, it's kind of like people vote just because they recognize the name, not because they know what the person does.
Yes.
But however, no one should be there forever. We have people in the state and on the federal side who have been there for decades, and no one should be in there for decades, because by the time you're there past a decade, you become disconnected to what the people are doing now.
Yep.
And that is bad news, because if technology changes, if these people are not on top of it, they're going to make laws that affect all of us out of naiveness, out of ignorance, and we can't afford that.
Wow. Medina 2020. Hey, I will say this. I think Mark is the one, to me, that stands out the most with actually working hard. You know, Mark's been working hard. Him and his wife, and your mom too, right?
Yep.
Holding signs in the corners.
And my brother.
Your brother. I mean, Mark's all over the place. Every time I go on social media, Mark's got a video.
I'm the crazy guy waving signs.
Hey, but it's super cool because Mark's kind of showing everybody that he wants it.
Yep.
I mean, that's what he's doing. He wants it, so he's out there all the time. I think it's totally awesome. Anything you want to say before we close?
Well, one of the most important things I want to get across, the main things I stand for, is I stand for safety. I want our streets to be safer. Even though we got our little section pretty cleaned up, it's still, there's still a lot of work to do. And we're going to continue working on that. But I want to get all our other neighborhoods to get started, and we create this network to get our neighborhoods clean. Because in the end, what really matters is what we leave behind. So I stand for safety. I stand for business growth. I want our growth in businesses to go and fill up all the empty businesses we have, all the empty buildings we have in our current, downtown, our current, Sama Plaza area, and our current Walmart and Save Mart and Food for Less areas, and get those offices filled up. I want that Pizza Hut, which we just lost, but I want somebody else in there quickly. I don't want it to sit empty, because if it sits empty, it invites a lot of bad things. It invites people breaking in to steal the copper wiring. It invites homelessness, because now there's a place for them to sleep at that they may not get caught. It invites vandalism. People start tagging it and writing on it because there's no one there. And it also makes us look bad as a community when someone comes in to shop and there is an empty store front. There shouldn't be an empty storefront. So filling those up is important. That requires things like an active city council staff that's going to go out there and pull people in. Yep. Go out there, find those businesses, find those franchises that want to come in here, and then pair them up with people from here who want to start franchises. It requires an incubator. And all these things, they sound like it costs a lot of money, but if you look, there's grants everywhere. So we need a good grant writer. And I'm going to push for a grant writer, because with a grant writer, we can do a lot. We don't have to rely on just the tax revenue. We can get grant money, and we can go and get donations, and we can pull this stuff together and work as a community to make these things happen. So building, business is important, but there's also culture. And we're a community with rich culture. And the one thing that combines all of us, the one thing that keeps all of us together, is we have one underlying thing. We all believe in family. If you look at all the cultures here, there is one denominator between all of them, and that is they all believe in family. If you look at the voting record of the Selma population, of all of us, it's always been family oriented. Whenever we're put in front of a decision where there's something that is not family oriented, 9 times out of 10, we vote family oriented. So our business structures, our businesses that we bring in, have to adhere to that same concept. If they don't, then it's not going to work correctly. It's not going to jive, and things will fall apart. Which brings me to the other aspects, which is home growth. We want to grow a community where people want to have their families and want to place roots. That means single-family homes. Apartments are great, don't get me wrong, but I've lived in an apartment. I've lived as a renter under Section 8 when I was small. My parents did. And the one thing about being a renter is that you never know when they're going to raise the rent. You're always on pins and needles that one day, if you're in an apartment, they're going to say, hey, your lease is up, you're going to raise the rent 20%. Or if you're renting a house, hey, I'm selling the house, you got to move. I have a friend of mine that just got that happen to them. They're getting evicted because the house that they're renting is getting sold. This isn't good. This means people are on pins and needles and they can't really sit their roots in. I want people to be able to sit their roots in so that their children can grow up here and they don't have to worry about having to move unless they want to.
Yeah.
And that's important because it also raises our what's the word I'm looking for? It raises our invested capital of people who come in and want to set roots and feel like they're part of the community. They're more interested in what goes on. They're more, vigilant at what happens at the city level. Because I'll tell you what, power does not like vigilance, especially corrupt power. But power needs vigilance. If you want your city to run right, the population has to be vigilant and hold their city officials accountable. I want to be held accountable. Just like everyone else who's in city council should want to be held accountable. And if you can't hold them accountable because you don't feel like, it really matters to you because you're renting, or you don't feel like you know what's going on because it's obstructed by, closed doors, or, you can't find a website, you can't open the lines of communication, then there's a problem. You should never feel that way. It should be, you want to ask a question, go out there, ask a question. You want to raise hell during a city council meeting? By all means. There's a section at the end of the meeting to raise hell. And you should, because your voice matters. Just the same as everyone else's voice. It doesn't matter if you have no money or if you're the richest guy in town. Your voice does matter. But no one is above anybody. No one should have more say-so. No one should cause anyone to be in fear. No one should be a bully. And that's the other thing I stand against. I do not like bullies, and I stand against bullies. You've seen me do it during my campaign. You've seen me do it outside of the campaign. I do not like people pushing their weight around to get other people to do stuff they might not want to do. And that's what I stand against. Whether it's going to be at the governmental level, whether it's at the business level, or just in everyday life. I've always been a person that we have to take care of those who don't have as much as we do, which means that we have to stand up for them when we can. And that doesn't just mean money. That means overall with everything. And being a city official does not change that. So politics is something I don't believe in. I believe good people should be running our city. People with good hearts, clear minds, and who have a thought of what they want to do. With that being said, one thing me and Roger don't agree on is the whole thing about Measure E. I believe people should vote for their mayor. However, the caveat is there should also be a cap on the amount of money a person can spend, because it should never be out of the reach of the common citizen to run for office. Because if it is, the moment it becomes out of that reach, then special interests starts to put their hands in. And now you're not hiring or electing a person. You're not electing Robertson or Franco. You're electing the people who back them. And the people who back them, you may never know. It should be, a person should be able to run and not have to worry about that. So there should be caps. So one of the things I'm going to push for when I'm elected, when I'm in the office, one of the first things I'm going to push for a cap. I want a cap on the campaign financing.
Well, that actually sounds good. So vote for your mayor with the cap.
Yeah, and that makes it. And that makes sense. It shouldn't just be the
that
mayor.
way, deep pockets. Not only that, the incumbents have been there for a while. They got a lot of ties.
Yeah.
They got a lot of tie-ins.
Now, there may be some. Again, I'm not a legal expert by any sort of means, and so there may be you can't do that because it's not the American way. Well, maybe not, but maybe we can look into doing a grant for people who are running for office who are not incumbents, who are first-timers, to give them the ability to be able to compete. Because you have to have that. Our entire democracy relies on the ability for us as a community to choose our people and not have it just be delegated to us by whoever has the deeper pockets. At least that's my personal belief.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
No, other things, so on Measure E, that's where we differ. Measure L, I think we're both in agreement. It's a no.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Measure L because it does not fit what we've been trying to do in Selma, which is a family-friendly business environment and business ecology. I also believe that as city council and as public officials, we should follow the will of the people. And back in March, when the people voted 70 to 30%, actually I think it was 67% to 33% against Measure L, that our city council should have unanimously said no to it being back on the ballot. Instead, they unanimously, all of them, Trujillo, Avalos, Herrera, Robertson, and Franco,
yeah,
all said yes for it to be back on the ballot, which means that they didn't really hear the people, or they didn't care, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the way I took it too.
And you should have been able to say, hey, Measure All people, it's nice you paid for all this stuff to put back on the ballot, but no, not this time. Come back, maybe 1 or 2 election cycles, and we'll try again. But this time the people just voted, and they voted no, and you're asking us to go ahead and look that over and give you special interest? No, I don't think we should do that. That's my biggest gripe with Measure L. And so, there's what I stand. I want better housing. I want people to own their own homes. I want a safer street. And I want businesses that are going to help Selma grow. And if we can do those things, we can generate the income from that without having to raise taxes. And then we can handle the problems that we have to handle, which is homelessness. Homelessness is a problem that's going to require, surgical precision, because you can't just blanket solve it by going and getting a committee or getting a grant to put people in apartments or little hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to solve the problem for these people. You have to get them back to self-worth, where they can value themselves again and become productive members. So if you get a grant and all of a sudden there's more homeless people because you're housing more homeless, you're not actually solving their problem. You're giving them a place to stay, which isn't bad, but you haven't solved the problem. It's work with the people that we have here that are in Selma that are homeless. Let's get them back on their feet first. Then we can help others, because if they're up on their feet and they're making money, they can turn around and be good examples to help other people get on their feet again. We got to work at it with realistic fixes, not just throwing money at it. That never solves anything.
From all the candidates, Mark's got a lot of good points. You can tell he's thought about a lot of the stuff. I haven't heard really too much from anybody else like what you're talking about, man. So, hey, man, it's getting dark out here. So, hey, guys, Mark, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I thought that was hey, now you know Mark. I thought that was really good. Medina 2020, please subscribe, like, share. And, man, Mark, I think you're going to be the next councilman. All right. Thanks, guys.
Be safe, everybody. Take care.